Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and we're looking at right triangle practice. So what we're going to be doing here is putting together the different ideas that we've had from right triangles from the beginning. So far we know four things. We know sine, cosine, tangent for right triangles, but we also know Pythagorean Theorem. So we're going to do a worksheet now that's going to incorporate all of those ideas. Calculate the perimeter of the following triangle. What does perimeter mean? It means the area around the outside of the triangle. So you're going to add all the side lengths. So, looking at this triangle, I know this side length, I know this side length, but I don't know this side length. So I'm going to call it x. All right? I need to find x if I'm going to get the perimeter. Notice this is my 90, which makes this my hypotenuse. But I don't have another angle. Nowhere does it tell me what those angles are. So I'm not going to be able to use sine, cosine, or tangent. I'm going to have to use something else. And that something else is going to be the Pythagorean Theorem. Yeah, so we've got to go back and use Pythagorean Theorem. So we're going to use Pythagorean Theorem, which means I'm going to take the larger square, so hypotenuse squared, and the other smaller two squares summed together will equal the larger square. So this is going to give us, oops, hold on. I know what the hypotenuse is. That was silly of me. I should have just put that number in. But that's okay. I'm going to bring the 100 squared over to the other side. When it goes over to the other side, teachers like to say that it becomes negative. Another way to say that is that we are subtracting 100 squared from both sides. So if I subtract it from this side, it goes away. But to keep the equality, I have to subtract it from this side. So 125 squared, subtract 100 squared, equals x squared equals 5,625 square rooted x equals 75 meters. Now, some kids are going to be tempted to stop there, but unfortunately if they do, they're going to lose some marks because the question actually asked for the perimeter. So the perimeter is going to equal all the sides being added together. So it's going to be the 75 plus the 125 plus the 100. So it's going to be a total of 300 centimeters will be the total perimeter. So just because we're doing sine, cosine, and tangent doesn't mean that we can forget about Pythagorean Theorem. It's going to show up and we're going to have to use it. Okay? The next question, it's asking us for the area of a triangle. Now, you should know the formula for the area of a triangle. The area of a triangle is given by 1/2 base times height. Or, depending on your teacher last year, sometimes you might have seen it written like this. Base times height divided by 2. Both are good. Not a problem with either one. Just a different way of showing the same information. So to do this question, we need to figure out the base and the height of this triangle. Well, the 97 is going to be our base. I think we can all agree that if we put our triangle like this, that's a pretty nice base to have right there. Now we need to figure out our height. That's probably the height. It makes a 90 degrees. It goes straight up. There's my base. That's definitely the height. I'm going to give it an unknown variable. Can I make it an x? I could have made it an h for height. I can make it an x, whatever I want. But I'll use that unknown variable. Okay, so let's see. What do we have? Well, in this question, we seem to have our 90 here, which means this is my hypotenuse. I have an angle given here, which means this is my opposite. And that makes this my adjacent. I can't use Pythagorean theorem in this question because I don't know my hypotenuse and I don't know my height. I only have one side length. I can only use Pythagorean theorem when I have two side lengths and I'm looking for a third in a right triangle. So this one cannot use Pythagorean theorem. I'm out of luck. So I have to come up with another way to get this height. So let's think about it. I want a height, which is my adjacent. I've been given my opposite, and I have an angle. So the question is, which trig ratio works with opposite and adjacent? Tan. Excellent, studio audience. So we know that the tan of 54 degrees is going to equal opposite, which is 97, over x. Now, this is a little bit trickier than what we did in the last video. The reason why this is trickier is because the unknown's in the bottom. We talked about this yesterday in the last post and in the other videos. You might want to go back and check them out. But I gave you two ways of handling it. Here's one way. Put the tan of 54 over top of 1 and make it so that they're two fractions being equal to each other. Then we're going to think about our science teachers that kept telling us to cross multiply. If we cross multiply, we end up with x times tan of 54 equals 1 times 97. And 1 times 97 is just 97, so I'm just going to leave it as 97. Now, you have to take a break at that point. You have to rest and you have to sort of shake your head and say, what do I do next? So you look at what you're given and you notice that you want to isolate this x. You want that x by itself. And you notice it's being multiplied by tan of 54. Now, tan of 54 is just a decimal. It's just a number, like any other number. So it's multiplying by tan of 54. How do we get rid of multiplying by tan of 54? Yeah, we're going to, kind of, what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by tan of 54. I think this is what you meant. And these two cancel each other out because that's why we did it. I was multiplying by tan of 54. So the opposite is dividing by tan of 54, which leaves us with x equals 97 over the tan of 54. Now you got to be careful when you use your calculator. You got to get it all in the right order. So 97 divided by 54 tan equals, you may have to hit equals, and you should get an answer of 70.47 meters. Okay, be careful. It actually has to be divided by tan of 54, which is a number. So on your calculator, if I remember correctly, which calculator do you have? Show me. Okay, so on your calculator, you're going to write 97 divided by, hit the tan button first, and then put 54 in, and then equals. Okay, yeah. Okay, have we answered the question? No, we have not answered the question. What we've done is we've come up with the height. We want to come up with the area. Area equals base times height over 2. So in this case, our base is 70. Nope, our base was 97, sorry. 97 Our height was 70.47 divided by 2, which is, so you got to do it in the right order, 97 times 70.47 equals, divided by 2, is 3,417.80. Now look at that rounding. See how it's 0.795? We want it to 2 decimal places, so I go to the third. It's a 5, so it bumps up that 9. That 9 bumps up the 7 to an 8, but I leave the 0 to show that it's good for 2 decimal places. Let me just make sure that number works out again. 97 times 70.47 divided by 2. Yep, it all works. So I'm going to pause the video now. People at home, you're to finish off the 2 questions below here. Flip over. You have 3 questions here and 2 more questions here, and all the answers are along the bottom. So check as you go.